Good evening, everybody. This is Richie coming at you from the historic Blick Plantation, Holly Grove Cemetery. And I am here with
Mark Brewer.
Mark is up from Florida, and he contacted me this week. And he said, he contacted me first back in February, and we talked a little bit. Um, but why don't you tell him about your passion?
Yeah, so I just really enjoy going to old cemeteries and finding headstones and footstones and other memorabilia that's sunken down and fallen over, and we don't even know it's there. So I developed some really good techniques to find these things, and also some good techniques to raise them and elevate them and put them back where they originally belong.
Yep. And we have one more to put back tomorrow. We need another pair of muscles to do it. That's laying on the ground. It's a headstone from 1909. But anyway, why don't you talk about your experience here today and what your thoughts are
Yeah,
about?
yeah. So
You uncovered quite a few.
yeah, exactly. So I worked here a day and a half, and we actually trimmed a bunch too. But as far as headstones and footstones, you counted like 41 people that we think are here
Hmm.
now, and so really probably at least 30 of those headstones I touched and raised.
That's right.
So there's been a whole lot of touching, and a lot of, and some that we didn't even know about,
Hmm.
that I was able to discover and raise up. So this is an incredible cemetery with a great history. It would be nice if there was more people we knew exactly who were buried here. Most of them are just rock headstones, but that don't have names on them. Only a few that have names on them. But it's an incredible cemetery that's off back in the woods. That's a incredible history of your family.
That's right. That's right. And my direct ancestors are in here. And he one of them's right behind us, right here. That's my great great grandfather and grandmother that's buried there. Um, and that's in a fenced area. See the little fence behind us? He was able to get that fence upright today and we found a gate buried underneath the debris, all the leaves and stuff. So we were able to set that back up.
And it
The
was kind of
fence,
a beautiful ornate fence. So
it's, it
we were
is.
surprised. We were
It's like a
surprised to find it.
twisted
Hmm.
wire cemetery type fence. It looks like something maybe from the 30s or
Hmm.
whatever.
And
I
that
don't
was a
know.
find you made.
Well, I tripped on it.
Yeah.
Tripped on it. That's how you find some stuff is you trip on it. Um, but yeah, so it's really neat. I'll do a separate video and pictures, and I'll show you how far some of these stones go. And we did quite a bit of just poking and prodding
Hmm.
to look for other stones and to look for other cavities, so to speak. He's got a long uh, metal prod.
Hmm.
Um,
And we've probably found at least 95% was what I think, because we prodded pretty well in the locations where we think they should be. So
Yeah, and I think we have a better idea now of where the boundaries
yes.
of the cemetery is. Um, there's a lot that still doesn't make sense, like to have so many headstones. Like you said, there's like 41 here, and out of the 41, probably 35 are does not have names,
Hmm.
so you don't know who is where. And we see a difference in the stone itself, in the thickness of the field stones used. So we wonder what that ties to, if that ties back to Virginia Department of Historic Preservation's a theory that this is part domestic worker or enslaved people buried here with the family, um, because we do see a difference in the stones, especially over on that side, than right here. But we also found what we believe are absolute graves that don't have a stone on them. We couldn't find the stone. So I've marked all those with
Hmm.
flags, and we'll do some further research on those. But it's quite expansive. I'd
Hmm.
say, looking at the number of flags that we have, including all of the stones and the headstones that have names on them, I would think we have probably a good 50 to 55 people.
Yeah, I would think so. Exactly.
And I think Logan The archaeologists from Preservation, Virginia, had estimated between 30 and 300, and I believe the Department of Historic Resources, Mike, I believe he estimated between 50 and 100 or something like that. It's been a while, so I don't know, but we'll find out eventually. Maybe if we get this cleared out enough, and we did a lot today. He
Oh
he
yeah.
did most of it, but he took down some hollies that were growing up, and we had to do it. And even though I hate cutting down hollies, but there's plenty here to go around. But we had to remove some from the fenced-in area, the cemetery behind us, and then a old, what I presume is a dead cedar tree, but that cedar looks really good.
Yeah.
Um, that's inside of it. I'll put some pictures of that up later. But it looks like it's a petrified cedar tree, but the wood is a beautiful red on the inside of it. Um, but anyway, I do believe we've made some big progress in the day and a half he's been here. I've only been here for half a day, and we got a little bit of a few things to do, some measuring and stuff tomorrow. He's nice enough to plot it out for me, and he's going to draw it out so we have a reference for the cemetery as we believe it. Um, but we also, he trying to identify the corners and where graves were and all of that. He did some metal detecting here, which I'm excited about. Um, Not on the whole property, but just here right in the cemetery. And we found a few interesting things.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Um, you want
So
to?
I'll show them. First of all, we found a few things like this, which are support for a wreath, and 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 so I think this helps us
It's got the
identify.
little hook on it.
Yeah, so this helps us identify that this was probably a grave
That
site.
was a grave
Yeah,
site where
exactly.
that was found.
And then
And that led us, that particular one led us to redirect the fence because there was an odd stone placement
mm-hmm.
for a headstone. And it was like the only one in that row. And these are rows of people, like 20 people long. And that particular row had only one headstone. And the fence was on the wrong side of the
Yeah,
headstone.
exactly.
So we picked the fence up and moved it back on the right side
Mm-hmm.
of the headstone after we found that. And there's a noticeable depression. So that's clear that that was a grave.
Right, exactly.
And somebody had put flowers on it at one time.
And so just the other thing to mention, it's not unusual for me to find grave sites that don't have any markings at all. No, no, not a rock,
Yeah.
not. So that's not unusual, and people just were sometimes buried with no marking, and that's
Yeah.
what happened. I think we saw a few times here. And then the other thing is some of the trees that were removed that were small, we removed them because they were risking impinging on the headstones and damaging the headstones and dislocating the headstones.
And even up, I live, most of y'all know, I live in full time in Berryville, Virginia. And right there on the Shenandoah River, there's a Holy Cross Abbey that's back there. And it's a very large estate. And they still bury people
Mm-hmm.
with no markings. They're wrapped in a silk sheet or whatever, and they're buried in the ground. So there's no casket, there's no nothing. It's a complete natural birth or birth death. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, and then a couple other things. It's not unusual. We found I found some I guess you call them bullets. That's not unusual. There's some that are kind of big, so they hunted around here. You
they're
find
pretty
some
good size. Yeah,
they are. I don't know
they're
what,
about 9 millimeters.
yeah,
What they look
they're
like
big.
to me.
And then these are some old square nails. They're old square nails. And then some old shotgun shells. We were able to date these shotgun shells from the
Yeah, and
1920s.
I'll put up pictures of some of these too.
And then there's two. Well, this is, I don't know if this is all that cool, but you can see this. I don't know what it is. I mean, so maybe one of the viewers will know.
And these were all in the cemetery, by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah,
These
exactly.
were not just on the
exactly.
property. These were in the cemetery itself.
And then show them the coolest thing, which we don't know what it is.
So we don't know what this is, but it appears to be a hollow. It's like a sheath, and it has this,
which appears to be hinged.
There's a pretty noticeable hinge on it, and so maybe a strap was attached to that, and then there's this more square rectangle part right here. But we don't know what this is, and it curves at the end, and it has a noticeable seam down the back side of it. You see that seam?
So whether it was
So
a farm implement or I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know.
or is it something older? Is
Yeah,
it
yeah,
something like Civil War sheath or what? But I don't know what could have had that curve to
yeah.
go in and out of here.
And this is kind of funky. It's got some sort of mechanism thing on here. It almost looks
Yeah.
like it slides or something. I don't know.
Hmm. I'll put that up against my orange shirt.
Hmm.
But anyway, so all of this was found in the cemetery. Now we will be holding a metal detecting day, almost like a competition at some point in the future. I've had 100 requests for that,
Hmm.
if not more, probably several hundred requests. We will be doing that, but today the purpose was we are trying to find more information about this cemetery, including looking for nails and hinges
Right.
and
Well,
coffins.
and you're right. So I think we did actually were able to locate some
Yeah,
bodies based
you
upon
found a couple
based
based
on
off of
some
that.
metal that I could see based on the caskets. So I mean, because normally you don't want to metal detect in a graveyard, but
What
this
kind
was
of
special.
detector do you have,
So
by the way?
I have Manicore. I can't remember the brand, but it's a Manicore is a model, and
Okay.
it's a really nice one. And
And he
so
can distinguish
yeah.
between if it's a nail or if it's a bottle cap or if
Hmm.
it's more likely a bullet. And so he didn't dig
Yeah.
all of those things up because there's no need. We, but if he spotted a row of nails, then we know that that's more than likely a coffin.
Right. And of course I, above a grave I would not dig, unless it was
Yeah.
just on the surface. So I mean, just to
Oh
make sure
yeah.
the viewers know,
It also
I
tells him
don't.
how deep it is,
Yeah.
so
So
he knows if it's 2 or 3 inches deep or if it's 3 feet. He's not digging three
right,
feet
exactly.
out.
So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to go to the casket level or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. But what is your overall impression? Like,
This
what?
is no,
Tell
this is
us what your thoughts are about the cemetery, the property as a whole.
no, this is a an incredibly historic, not just cemetery, but property. I mean, and with the buildings and stuff like that, it deserves to be preserved, and
Hmm.
for generations to come to see what a 17th or late 17th century property was like, including the graveyard, but the house and the surrounding area. It's worth saving for sure.
Yeah. Thank you. Um, yeah, we think that the house was built in the. We know the family came here to the property in the late 17th century. And the house was built mid to second half of the 18th century.
Hmm.
Um, but I believe that they probably lived in the log cabin. Predates the house. We think we'll find out more of those details later, but we do believe my ancestors have been here since the late 17th century. So you're
Yeah, yeah,
exactly
exactly.
right. Um, and I'm really pleased. Thank you for volunteering to come help us do this. People have been asking every
Hmm.
time I do a video or post stuff. Somebody always asks, "Hey, what's going on with the cemetery? Hey, what's going on with the cemetery?" And he's our volunteer that stepped up to help us so far. We have other volunteers. Sons of Confederate Veterans have offered to come out here some and help do some clearing, and we're still going to do more because we've got some expanding to do. And I'd like to put up some fencing, even if it's stacked, like the Civil War type fencing, where we don't have to dig, and just put a boundary around what we believe is the cemetery. That way, it's safer for any trespassers, it's safer for the neighbors, and it's safer for us to mark it out. So stay tuned for all of that. But for now, do you have any parting words?
Nope. Just thanks for letting me be
Yeah.
a part.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming up from Florida.
Oh, you're
He's got
welcome.
big plans in Virginia this coming up week, so it's all good. But everybody, thanks for tagging along. We appreciate all your support. Um, Thank you for all of your engagement and for caring about this old house. Have a good day.
All right, that was good.